I'm back. Welcome to New York. I said I'm back. Welcome to New York. What up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy Motor City Don P back here once again in front of your TV. And you know, when you see that, one thing is for certain and three things are for sure. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats and not none of that static. And number three, perhaps the most important number of them all, number three. We want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic, and you may be asking yourself, how, Don? How, Mr. P, does one keep their Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's a very, very simple process, and I'm glad you asked. Three parts: smash like button, subscribe, share. And sharing is indeed caring. So when you share this stream with your uncles, your cousins, your aunties, your sisters, your brothers, your uncles, your cousins, your aunties, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, you name it. You name it. You have indeed cared about those people. The Lions fans, we got some things that we got to get into. We got to talk about some things that were said, some questions that were asked, and all of that. And also, we've got some updates on one Marquise Davenport. Right? I wish maybe if we say his name differently, it'll change his outlook on the whole entire situation. Hold on. What's going on with my chat? Saying I can't connect to the chat. Hold on. So I can't see nobody in the chat. Let's see if I pop it out, if it'll connect to my chat. All right, now I see the chat. What is up, though, people in the chat? What up, though? Just a fan. What up, though, Paul Thomas? What up, though, Armenian man 2.0? Where you been at, man? Yes, sir. Okay. So we're gonna hit off with little snippet. Jared Goff has some things to say. So we're gonna talk about that. Okay, this is not the this is not the right one that I had up. You got the right one, baby. Uh-huh. All right. Let me see if I can refresh it and find the one that I'm looking for. So we have where the Detroit Lions have an advantage over the Baltimore Ravens. We hope. All right. Okay, here we go. All right. This is the crux of the show so far. This is what we wanted to talk about. Jared Goff says the Ravens kicked our butt in 2023. We certainly remember that. Of course, you remember it. We all remember it, Jared Goff. But let's see what we got to say. What up, though, TaylorMade Media? He said advantage how, Sway? I don't know, but we'll get to it. Shout out to TaylorMade Media. TaylorMade sent me a video yesterday, and I watched it all the way through, and basically it basically solidified what I have told you guys, and what I've been telling you guys throughout the off season. Now the offseason is over, but I will continue to tell you these things, and I will get to it. I'll segue into the video a little bit later when we talk about Marquise Davenport. As I said, we just got, hey, if we say his name different, maybe at some point he'll become healthy, because there's nothing else that's making him healthy. Modern medicine is not making him healthy. Lifting weights is not making him healthy. Diet is not keeping him healthy. There's nothing else that's keeping him healthy. So maybe at some point, if we just start pronouncing his name differently, it'll change the trajectory of his injury history. Marquise Davenport, right? We gotta put the French on it, because Detroit is literally a French city, right? We pronounce it incorrectly. We pronounce it Detroit, but it should be Detroit. You know what I mean? We got a bunch of names. We got a bunch of street names in the city that are French, but we pronounce them incorrectly. It's all incorrect pronunciation. So maybe the thing with Marcus Davenport is that we are just not saying his name right. Maybe it should be Marquise Davenport, and then he'll be magically healthy. I don't know. But we will segue into the video, and I'll give you the highlights of the video because it's basically I've done a video like this before. All right. Said Bears definitely went down all right for sure. Hey, look, man. Everybody, shout out to Ron, man. You know, it takes a lot. It takes a lot for him to come in here and shout "bear down" and all this stuff after that embarrassment. The only thing that you can say is that it wasn't national television. It was a 1 p.m. game, so not everybody saw it. You know what I mean? But everybody in Detroit and Chicago saw it, and you know what it is. Okay, we put 52 on y'all boys. Last year, we didn't even put 52 on y'all boys. Last year, dare I say, last year, both of the Bears games were more competitive than what you displayed in week number 2. I'm just saying, maybe Eberflus was a better coach. I don't know. Yep, because Caleb Williams is a backup for sure. I feel you. I feel what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. All right. So we're gonna get into this. It says the last time this is from PFT. I don't generally consume their material anymore. You know, I used to be a big supporter of PFT back when, you know, Florio started joining his basement. And then he was coming off fresh off being a lawyer. Okay, and now 20 years later, 20 plus years later, you know, he is he's over here doing what he's doing. So anyway, the last time the Lions visited Baltimore ended up being a pretty bad day for quarterback Jared Goff and the rest of Detroit. It was week 7 of the 2023 season when the Ravens beat Detroit 38-6 on a sunny fall afternoon. The Lions had a tough time getting anything going offensively throughout the contest, going down 35-0 before Jahmyr Gibbs' 21-yard touchdown run early in the fourth quarter. Yeah, they kicked our butt, quarterback Jared Goff said on his Thursday press conference. They got after us early and often. Yeah, we certainly remember that. Now, y'all, this has some credence to the Lions being able to come out with a win here. We know what happens when the Detroit Lions get you in the crosshairs, right? They feel like they got a right or wrong. They feel like they didn't play their game. We've seen them do that to teams. The Dallas Cowboys wasn't that situation. The Dallas Cowboys wasn't that they felt that they didn't play their game and they, you know, let them eke out a win. No, the Dallas Cowboys situation was it was a robbery by the referees, and we're not going to allow the referees to play any part in this game. So they put belt to ass, and they curb stomped them pretty much. That's pretty much what happened. So I don't think you're going to see anything like that, but you're going to see the Detroit Lions wanting to make sure that they put out a better performance, a much, much better performance overall. All right, so the Lions will get their chance for some get back on Monday night when the two teams play again in Baltimore. Even though the last game was a couple of years ago, there are still things Detroit can take away from it. Yeah, maybe some motivation, value that we just kind of went in there and they took it to us, Goff said. I think we've got a lot of respect for their team and their coaches and the way they've gone about their business for a long time. And I'd like to feel they feel the same way about us. I don't know. 6th round. I don't know. But we've got to go in there and prove it and show them that we obviously can hang with them and we're a great team. And in that instance, we didn't. So certainly have a little bit to prove this week. Goff added that the Lions have grown up a little bit and matured over the last couple of seasons since then. Detroit made it to the NFC Championship game that season before becoming the NFC's #1 seed last year. They're a different team. We're a different team, Goff said. I don't know if that game speaks much to this game, other than maybe it provides a little bit of extra juice for us. But yeah, I don't think there's much other than that to carry over. You can tell Jared Goff is towing the line here. He's not trying to give the Baltimore Ravens any type of bulletin board material, but he does want to say that we are ready to beat y'all ass. Like, we are ready to come from the top rope. We are ready to layeth the smackdown. We are ready to drop the people's elbow on top of your neck and chest area. If you smell what the Lions are cooking. You understand what I'm saying? That's what he wants to say, but at the same time, he can't really say that because they'll have it all over the bulletin boards. All right. Through 2 games this year, Goff has completed 80.6% of his passes. God damn. For 559 yards with 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. All right. So let me know in the chat if you guys think that there's any extra motivation. Do you think that the motivating factors from the Detroit Lions getting the smacketh, layeth, downeth, uponeth us is going to fuel this team the way that we think it is? Apparently, there's been highlights of that game on loop in Allen Park since the week started. Right? People have had this game circled on their calendars. Coach Shep is talking about he's going to let Lamar Jackson know after the game that he's lost a lot of sleep this week trying to prepare for Lamar Jackson. There are people who are not fans of Lamar Jackson, and when defensive coordinators are losing sleep preparing for you, literally losing sleep, that's not a joke, right? When defensive coordinators are doing that, and then when you win the back-to-back MVP and you should have been a back-to-back-to-back MVP, how it went to Josh Allen, I don't know. You're a pretty good player, regardless of what people think, okay? So I'm glad we don't have the type of fans in here in this chat that want to just say that everyone, the Lions are greater than everyone and everything else, and there's no chance for any team ever to beat them ever in the history of everdom, and that's why they're 17-0 every year, and that's why they win the Super Bowl every single year, and that's why we've got 60 Lombardis and no one else has any, because we've won all of them. If you're that type of fan, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know how I can help you, because I'm not a clinical psychiatrist or psychologist, and I don't know how to treat delusion. I don't know how. So if you're here to get a treatment, you're going to have to go somewhere else. Paul Thomas says, if we have to lose, I'm good losing to Lamar. He's a great guy, great Christian, and he's conservative at Just a Fan, but we really need this game. Ron Winarski says he needs a shrink. Yes, because you're a Bears fan. I get it. Armenian Man says, I think this is going to be a Laporta game. We are more experienced now than when we last played them. Taylor Made Media says, you mean delusion is still a thing? Yeah, there's a lot of delusion, especially within the fan base. All right, now we're going to get into that discussion. And there's a few ways that I can take this. I had a very respectful interaction with a fan on Twitter. Paul Thomas says, we are definitely more experienced, but it's going to be a battle. Facts. Right. So it was a very respectful interaction with a fan on Twitter, so I'm not saying anything to poo-poo this fan. Because you know how I usually do. I usually be poo-pooing on people all the time. Um, but it was very respectful. So you've got the El Qadim Muhammad information out there that puts El Qadim Muhammad right around Miles Garrett and some others as far as pressures and win rates and things of this nature. The first thing we need to understand is there's got to be context to every argument when you do deal with numbers. This is why I'm not a stat guy. This is why I am an eye test guy, right? I'll take the eye test and then I'll look at the stats to see if they marry up with what I'm seeing. If they don't marry up with what I'm seeing, then the numbers are probably being taken out of context, right? They say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Numbers without proper context lie. I can go to the NFL and be a quarterback for one play and throw a 2-yard pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown. He can catch it. I have a 100% completion rate. And just leave the game and never play. So, am I a perfect quarterback? No, I just threw a pass that someone happened to catch. It's a 50-50 proposition. He could have not caught it. And then I would have a 0% completion rate. So numbers out of context it's a form of lying to you if you want to take it that way. So we've got that out there. And then we've got the people that, because that came out there, they're using it as some sort of ammunition to say, see, we were good. We are good. We don't need anybody else. We didn't need Zadarius Smith. We don't need Trey Hendrick. We don't need anybody because we've got AQM and Hutch. Okay, I hope you're right, but let's see what happens when AQM is the full-time starter, which is going to happen now. And we don't know how long it's going to happen for. Why is it going to happen? How do we know it's going to happen? Well, there's this update that comes out of Allen Park today. Are you ready for this? If you're not sitting down, please make sure you do. It's not going to come as a shock or a surprise, but please make sure you do. So, one Marquise Davenport was seen in the locker room walking around, obviously not practicing, but with his arm in a sling. Now, he's listed as a non-participant in practice with a chest injury. What kind of chest injury would require a sling? Now he's getting injuries that are all mysterious because a mystery illness. They're very mysterious because this type of thing has never happened before. I am not going to have a cast on my ankle because I have a knee injury. Right? I am not going to be wearing a neck brace because I have a headache. Those things don't make sense. It was reported as a shoulder injury. So if it is a shoulder injury, then it would make sense for you to have your arm in a sling so you can support your shoulder joint. But it doesn't make sense to tell me that it is a chest injury or it is a shoulder injury. Now it's a chest injury, but the arm is in the sling. The only way that I could think of if your arm is in the sling from a chest injury is that you've torn your pectoral muscle. And if you've torn your pectoral muscle, you can be on the Frank Ragnow side of things, or you could be on the CD Deuce side of things. Which side do you think Marquise Davenport is on? Let me know in the comments. TaylorMade says 2-yard pass to St. Brown. Facts. 3 more yards on the route, and you're just in your jerk off. because MD is Mr. Glass 2.0. Okay? So I would think personally he's more on the CD Deuce side, which means he's going to miss the regular season, but if he rehabs hard enough, he'll get back for the playoffs. So the fact that there are people out there, and I hope that there are some of those people who are lurking, who don't understand the situation. Watch how I segue into this video. They don't understand the situation. They think that everything that Brad Holmes does is gold. And if he didn't make a move, it's because Brad Holmes knows all. Aren't you people a little bit upset at Brad Holmes, at Bradley, at Melvin, Bradley, Matthias, Jerome, Cornelius Holmes? Shout out to Syndicate, bro. I love that. That is such a name. It just fits perfectly. Melvin, Bradley, Matthias, Jerome, Cornelius Holmes. I know it's not his name, but it just fits. So are you not a little bit upset that he put all of his eggs in the Davenport basket? Pause. Does that not upset you? Because it should upset you. Because I will keep saying to you, he was in the league for 7 years prior to this, and he showed you he couldn't be healthy. Last year, he showed you that over a span of 3 games, he was going to play 1 game and a quarter and a half. And that's all it took for him to leave the season and never come back. He played the entirety of the first game, got injured at the end of it, sprained his groin, pulled his groin a little bit, missed the second game, came back in game number 3, played a quarter and a half, got karate chopped or whatever you want to call it, tore his triceps muscle and was out for the season. Now, it would be interesting for me to know, the arm that he had in the sling, is it the same one that he tore his triceps? Could he have re-aggravated that injury? I don't know. Okay? Taylor May says, no, let Brad cook. We need Bates' record-breaking game-winning field goal. That would just be poetic justice. But I'd rather not have to wait on that. You know what I'm saying? We getting older, and a lot of heart stuff ain't good. All right. So putting the eggs in all the eggs in Marcus Davenport basket wasn't the greatest decision, and that's what we are upset about. No, we're not saying that Brad Holmes didn't draft Brian Branch or Kirby Joseph or Jahmyr Gibbs or Jack Campbell or all right, we back. All right, we back. Okay, got it. All right, so the crash was inevitable. Hasn't happened in a while, so you know what I mean. My computer decided to spite me. It's all good. It's all good. So as we were saying, you know, whatever we say about, you know, what Brad Holmes has done, and we are grateful for what he has done as far as getting this team out of the dumpster of the NFL, right? Because it was in the dumpster. So now, when you try to say something to improve your team, you get the, well, we can't afford it, We can't do any of these things. What up, though, Flying Hawaiian? You came in right after the crash. Imagine that. So now we're saying we can't afford it. We can't afford it. We can't because we've got so many people to pay. We've got all of this stuff to do. Well, sit back, pull up a chair, and let me tell you. And I can share this video with you guys at the end, so you can see the whole thing. I think it's about a 30-minute episode, but I'm not going to take 30 minutes. As I said, shout out to Taylor Made Media. He sent me a video yesterday, and it was basically confirmation of what I have been saying about the salary cap. So basically, here's what had happened. We'll take it back to the beginning. Peyton Manning was an MVP, and he had to sign an extension after his rookie contract. It was a 7-year extension, and it took up about, I'm foggy here, 16% of the salary cap. Okay. And then when we got to 2016, enter Drew Brees and Mickey Loomis. Drew Brees wanted an extension, and basically Mickey Loomis figured out how to do it by using what is called void years. And I told you guys about void years before. So then he goes into how the Eagles use void years. But here's the very interesting thing. And this is the thing that I want to point out to all of you guys who are listening and all of you guys who are chatting. I want you to listen to this thing very, very closely. Okay. Initially, we were just talking about void years for what you call quarterbacks. Okay. And if you guys remember, we went over Kirby Joseph's contract, and Kirby Joseph's contract had a bunch of option bonuses. I was like, where are the actual base salaries? Right? Because his base salaries are so low, but he's got the option years. So option bonuses, when you combine option bonuses and void years, you're essentially kicking the money down the road. You're kicking the can down the road. So the Detroit Lions do this a little bit. Here's the thing. The Philadelphia Eagles, right? Because there was the thing he was talking about how the Philadelphia Eagles have Pro Bowlers at every starting position pretty much. And the Detroit Lions similarly have the situation, but we're not paying everybody. So now what you guys are what you're listening to is this. First and foremost, the Detroit Lions are $41 million over the cap next year. We don't have any money. Not true. Okay? Not true. And I always bring this up, but I just want you guys to remember this. When we traded Matthew Stafford, his cap hit was going to be $60 million for the Los Angeles Rams. His cap hit wound up being $1 million. Why? Because they took that entire salary cap hit, almost the entire thing, 99.9% of it, and they changed it into a signing bonus. What does that do for you? As a signing bonus, yes, the money does go into your account. It is clear. The player is getting that money. It is not taking away the money from the player. It's not playing any crazy games with the player's money. No, the player is getting that money. But what happens with that is that it's not on the books as a salary cap hit. Right? So yes, he did get $60 million. He would have got that $60 million anyway, but you would have hamstrung yourself if you kept it against the cap. So now that you've cleared it off of the cap, magically you have cap space. The Detroit Lions being $41 million over the cap already next year is inconsequential. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing because there are so many big money contracts that we have right now that all we have to do is restructure them. We convert money to option bonuses. We convert money to signing bonuses. And we kick the can down the road and we get the cap space, the cap relief instantly. This is why you always see teams restructuring cap. Okay. Now, here's the thing about the Philadelphia Eagles, and they have all these Pro Bowlers everywhere, and they sign this player, and they sign that player, and they sign the other player. The reason that we know the Saints to be in cap hell is because the Saints they started doing this in 2016, and they kept doing it. They ran into the 2020 season. The 2020 season was the COVID season. It was the only season where the cap has gone down in recent history. The point, or I should say the illustration of this, is that remember when we were talking about Peyton Manning's deal, the cap has gone up about 360% since then. The quarterback percentage of the cap has gone up over 400% since Peyton Manning, who was an MVP, signed his rookie contract extension. Okay? So the money has gone crazy. Now, with the Eagles have void years all coinciding in 2029. Why is that important? Right? Everybody's big cap hit. Okay, because the thing with void years is that you kick the can down the road. Okay, so there are multiple players with $30 million cap hits, right? And if all of those cap hits hit at the same time, they will be $360 million over the cap, or their cap hit will be $360 million, and it's not quite there yet. But here's the thing. He said the Eagles probably just don't care. Why? Because Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, comes from a film and television background. And guess what they've done? The Nielsen's have gone and they've changed the way that the ratings are counted. I guess now they're more accurately counting everyone that watches. So across the board in television, ratings have gone up 5 to 40%. In 2030, the NFL will opt out of their TV rights deal. That means CBS, BBC, whoever, Disney Plus, Disney, ESPN, all these people will now have their deals ripped up, and they will have to rebid and renegotiate their deals. Right? So the anticipation is that the cap will jump up to over $400 million in this situation where they renegotiate all of these TV deals. Why do you think you are getting commercials talking about, for the first time ever, Disney Plus has the NFL? Last year, you were hearing about Hulu having live sports and TV, and the NFL was on Hulu. The NFL is on Amazon Prime. The NFL is on Netflix. The NFL is on ESPN. The NFL is on Paramount Plus. The NFL is on, HBO Max seems to be the only one that doesn't have them. And do you think HBO Max isn't going to get into the fray? HBO already has Hard Knocks. Why wouldn't they just have some NFL games? So they've kicked the can down the road to 2029 because in 2030, they're going to have a whole lot more money to play with. So what they're going to do in 2029 is they're going to extend these contracts at least for one more real year, and then they'll throw some other void years on top of it. And then that's what's going to happen. They'll ride through 2030 with $100 more million in cap money. DJ Chark. Do you guys remember DJ Chark? How many years did DJ Chark play for the Detroit Lions? DJ Chark played for 1 year. His money was still on the cap like last year or a couple years ago. Why? Because it was 1 year plus void years. And you can do up to 3 void years. So for any of you guys that are saying, hey, we can't sign Trey Hendrickson because we've got to sign Hutch. The AAV, again, guys, okay? What is it? The approximate annual value, the AAV, is not real. Just because you see a guy have 5 years, $250 million, doesn't mean he's getting paid $50 million per year against the cap. He may be getting paid $50 million per year, but it's not against the cap. It's in his real cash flow that's going into his account. So you guys definitely need to check out that video and share it with your other Lions friends. Share it with your Lions friends who think that everybody has a cap number and that's their cap number and you can't do anything. Oh, we're not trading for Bradley Chubb because he has two $30 million cap hits at the end of his contract. So we're not trading for Trey Hendrickson because Trey Hendrickson has a $30 million cap hit now that he's renegotiated his deal for 1 year with the Bengals. So Zadarius Smith wants too much money. He wanted $11 million. He signed for $2 million with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I implore you guys to stop thinking in this way. This is the old antiquated way of dealing with contracts. We haven't been on that since 2016. The old way of dealing with contracts died in 2016. It is 2025. We are on year 9 of void years, option bonuses, okay, playing around with the cap. And he ended the video by saying the NFL salary cap is only real if you allow it to be. By not signing or not making moves for people like Trey Hendrickson, by not making moves for people like Bradley Chubb, right? Now we're talking about Bradley Chubb at the trade deadline because we don't, the Miami Dolphins. Come on, bro. They're 0-3. Okay? They don't look good. They actually looked for a minute, like, I don't know if y'all watched that game. They looked like they might have been able to pull it out. And then Tua does Tua things and throws a pick in the last few minutes of the game. So the thing that we have to stop doing as Lions fans, okay, is going, hey, well, we can't get that guy because they told us his cap hit. No. Cap hit's not real. Cap's not real. Now, here's what Jeffrey Lurie did, and I don't know if Sheila Ford Hamp would do this, but Jeffrey Lurie sold 8% of his stake in the team in order to get more, $660 more million in liquid assets. So he sold his stake in the team for more liquidity. But then when you sell your stake in the team or some of your stake in the team for more liquidity, guess what you do? You allow yourself. He did this to fund all of these contracts. So now he funded all these contracts and he won a Super Bowl. You win a Super Bowl, your franchise is more valuable. You make that money back anyway. This is how you play the game. No one is looking at a person and say, Micah Parsons is making $47 million per year. No one who knows anything about a contract looks at Micah Parsons as a $47 million per year asset. Look at the JMO contract. Look, every contract that we sign for all of these people. If you're saying, well, we probably can't keep Sam Laporta. Yes, we can. we can keep all of these players because the NFL salary cap is not real. I've been trying to tell y'all. And I watched an entire video yesterday breaking down everything that I've been saying. Right? Let me see what y'all got in the chat. What up, your tactical sport? He said BBC. Whoa, pause. I meant the British broadcasting channel, bro. I thought Animal Planet had an NFL deal. Hey, they probably will. Flying Wine says, I never see commercials, so I have somewhat of a disconnect to what you're talking about. Well, if you watch the commercials, then you'll see. Right? Taylor says, so do I need to dump all these Excel spreadsheets because I really don't know what the hell is going on at the NFL level? Yes, dump them. Dump all of them. Although being of a certain age, I'm very familiar with the personal accounting while not ever having taken an accounting class. Me either. I've never taken an accounting class. All right, let's see. Telemate Media says, well, here's the thing. The Ford family is notoriously conservative. They don't have to roll the dice. All they have to is let Brad cook while increasing franchise value. At the end of the day, if you want to win a Super Bowl, you have to play the same game that everyone else is playing. Right? It's very difficult to be stuck in your old ways and to be antiquated and to try to keep up with the modern NFL. This is, listen, this has been the Lions for many, many years. When the entire NFL is moving towards the mobile quarterback, the Detroit Lions double down on non-mobile quarterbacks. Right? The Detroit Lions are using void years to some extent, but as you see, Philly just went out and won its second Super Bowl in 7 years or something like that? So you're just stopping at the gate going, that's a little bit too far. Right? The Philadelphia Eagles pulled up to the club, got out, and went in the club. The Detroit Lions currently are pulling up to the club, getting out, and staring at the door. They're not going inside. You have two players who have seasons that are pretty much over. They're playing for nothing. I don't know the status of Bradley Chubb's contract, but we do know that Trey Hendrickson is gone after this year. Okay? We know he's gone after this year. Now, the Bengals have a bit of a favorable schedule, so they actually could be in contention by the trade deadline. They actually could be in contention for a playoff spot. But if they're not, we need to go ahead and get Trey Hendrickson. We should have gone ahead to get Trey Hendrickson before, because now, as you see, Marquise Davenport is injured yet again. And it's either a torn pec, some sort of shoulder injury, or he re-aggravated that triceps injury that he that ended his season last year. So, y'all can keep giving me Al-Quadin Muhammad, and I'll keep telling you that he's 30. Okay. El-Quadin Muhammad's 30. That means he's been in the league, what, 7, 8 years? How much have we heard about El-Quadin Muhammad? Have we ever heard El-Quadin Muhammad in the same breath as Myles Garrett? No. But now when we look at some out of context numbers about pressures, we want to say that he's just under Myles Garrett level. I don't know. I don't know what to say. You call taking some EV and slapping the Mustang name on a conservative? LOL for been shot out there. LOL. While the Eagles at the club, we at their crib with their wife. Better watch out. I don't know what at the crib with their wife means in the Super Bowl context, but being at the club means winning the Super Bowl. You can have being home with the wife. What does that mean? Going to the Pro Bowl? That one didn't land. That one did not land. Marcus Davenport doesn't have a middle name. You can't trust him. No. So you can't trust anybody without a middle name. All right, let me check this advantage. Because there was supposed to be some sort of advantage that the Detroit Lions may have over the Baltimore Ravens. So let me see if I can pull up what it's supposed to be. So here we go. Hold on. Let me read this one right quick, because it says Lions edge rusher Marcus Davenport may be facing a lengthy absence yet again. This is from Sideline Report. Brad Berryman says back in March, in lieu of trying harder to retain Za'Darius Smith, the Detroit Lions brought back defensive end Marcus Davenport on a 1-year deal. I wouldn't say in lieu of trying harder to retain him, they outright cut him. Okay, the ball was in their court. They chose to cut him. Davenport played just 2 games for the Lions last season before an elbow triceps injury in week 3 cost him the rest of the season. Head coach Dan Campbell and general manager Brad Holmes made an effort to talk themselves into the former first-round pick. Oh, these dang notifications, bro. Come on now. As the edge rusher solution opposite Aiden Hutchinson, sight largely unseen last season. Davenport missed 13 games in 2024 with the Minnesota Vikings due to an ankle injury, and he has generally had durability concerns throughout his career. Don't bring that up to him, though. He made it clear he doesn't have time for a dose of reality about his injury woes. In week 2 against the Chicago Bears, Davenport left the game twice. First, it was an ankle injury in the first quarter. Then it was a shoulder injury in the third quarter that rendered him unable to return. It's a unique week for the Lions since they play Monday night against the Baltimore Ravens with practices Thursday through Saturday rather than the typical Wednesday through Friday. On Thursday, Campbell pushed off knowing anything firm about Davenport's status until the end of the week, as tests were still being done. Marcus Davenport seems to be facing another lengthy absence. Davenport's injury has been labeled as a chest injury by the Lions. He, of course, did not practice on Thursday, as Campbell said before the day's session, and he was the only player who did not practice in any capacity on Friday. At this point, it would take a healing miracle for Davenport to do anything in practice on Saturday and play on Monday night. As Davenport tracks toward being out against the Ravens, barring something completely unforeseen, multiple reporters spotted him with his right arm in a sling on Friday. Spotted in the Lions locker room, Marcus Davenport's right arm in a sling, Shane Zylstra on crutches, says Jeremy Reisman. Colton Pouncey says Lions edge Marcus Davenport was spotted with his right arm in a sling in the locker room Friday. Campbell said the Lions will know more later in the week regarding his availability, but that's certainly notable. He's not practiced this week. Dave Burkett says Lions DE Marcus Davenport had his right arm in a sling in the locker room after practice today. He declined to say anything of note about his injury, but he couldn't use his right arm to get up from the recliner he was in. Clearly not on track to play Monday. Couldn't use his right arm to get up out of a chair. Oh, he's definitely suiting up and chasing Lamar Jackson around on Monday. Cool. Okay. Shoot him up with Toradol at this point, bro. Just shoot him up. Shoot him up with Toradol and just throw him out there. Because at this point, what else can you do? What else could you do? He'd be like, Marcus, your arm fell off. No, I couldn't feel it. I got so much Toradol in me right now. I don't know what's going on. How's your balance? Fat. You talking about my check balance? Shout out if you know, use the hashtag. What exactly Davenport is dealing with is unclear, pending further news that should be coming, but it is bad enough his right arm is being immobilized. There are apparently multiple medical opinions being sought, rightfully so, and multiple tests being done to uncover a firm diagnosis. Brother, if you cannot use your right arm to get out of a chair, remember, guys, we said seeking second opinions is generally a bad thing because the first opinion told you need surgery or you need to shut it down for the season. So you're seeking a second opinion so you can say, hey, I'm still trying to play, and someone in the second opinion land might allow you to do it, especially if you grease their palms. Pause. If his injury is as bad as it seems, it would not be surprising to see Davenport placed on IR in the coming days. And with that, a minimum 4-game stay on IR might be an underestimate of how much time he could miss. Time will tell, but it's not looking good for Davenport making a notable contribution to the Lions defense again this season. I mean, I know we talk about it a lot because we talk about it a lot because we said this. And again, there were a lot of you out there saying that we were crying about it and we were that. And you were just slurping Brad Holmes. I get it. Brad Holmes is a great GM. Awesome. This was stupid. I said it. This was a dumb decision. This was absolutely asinine. This was crazy. We told you this would happen. Everybody, I've never signed an NFL contract. I've never signed a person to an NFL contract. I almost signed one of my players to a contract before in Denmark. And it could have been one in Sweden, but that's neither here nor there. That's something completely different. That's another story for another day. Okay? Brother, I don't understand. I don't understand, bro. Like, you're pissing on my leg. I can see you standing there pissing on my leg. I see it. I see what you're doing. And then you tell me it's raining. No, you're pissing on my leg. You're not hiding it. You're not hiding it. I see you standing there in that bush with your pants down, pause, and you're pissing on my leg. How does this happen? Honestly, how does this freaking happen, bro? How is this allowed? How does this happen? How did Marcus Davenport get to be on this team as the option with no backup plan? How, man? You can't tell me. So you basically you saved $1 million by guaranteeing Marcus Davenport 1.25 million. And Big Z went and signed a contract for 2.25 million. You saved $1 million. Bruh, Marcus Davenport better not be on this team next year. I'm sorry. He better not. Because this is ridiculous, man. I'm sorry, bro. I just don't understand. I don't know what else to say. Tactical Spark says when it comes down to it, the Eagles are constantly trying to get better at every position while the Lions are trying to be cheap. Just spend the money and get after it. Facts. Big facts. Marcus is going to do great in the injury room. He's been there before. He has reps. Flying Wyatt, I wish we could get a straight answer from Holmes Campbell on Big Z instead of having to entertain guesses from fans. Of course, getting a straight answer from the NFL staff is pretty much a pipe dream. I don't even. It's clear. It's clear. They're cheap. I mean, it is clear they are cheap. That is the answer. That's the answer, bro. Like, Marcus Davenport, bro. Like, come on, man. Come on. I understand what you see, but it's never been available for a season. Never. This is year 8. If year 1 through 7 didn't teach you anything, you're never going to learn. Like we like to think of these GMs and these coaches and stuff as some of the smartest people. Like, brother, Marcus Davenport plus nobody else was stupid. Marcus Davenport plus Big Z was great. Marcus Davenport plus Matthew Judon was great. Marcus Davenport plus Jadeveon Clowney was great. And we said this as well, that if you had someone else like a Judon, a Clowney, or a Smith, then you could have rotated Marcus Davenport and kept him fresher and healthier. And it's great. It's great. You know what? You know who has a lot of faith in El Quadin Muhammad? Coach Shep. And you know Coach Shep had a lot of faith in Marcus Davenport too. This is coach at this point is coach speak. This is what you have to say. He's your next man up. And he's fine. He's fine. And you hope he's healthy. I think earlier on in his career, he had 6 sacks in a season, which is good. Well, he had 3 sacks last season when he came in on a limited basis. But for some reason, he's never been a starter. Why has he never been a starter? I don't know. This is year 7 or year 8, right? Him and Marcus Davenport came in the league either the same year or 1 year apart from each other. He's 30 years old. He's never been a full-time starter. He's always been a backup. He's always been a rotational player. And again, I'm not trying to poo-poo AQM. I love AQM, right? AQM is a hard worker. He's a role player. What is the why are we so averse to giving Hutch help? Why? Why, bro? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why you go from 0 to 100. It's either got to be 0 or it's got to be 100. And at 100, that's too much. Oh, the fans want an elite pass rusher on the other side of Hutch, so that we have 2 elite pass rushers. It would be nice, but that's not really what we've been begging you for. We've been begging you for a freaking backup plan to Marcus Davenport, bro. And now it's here. It's here, man. It's here in week 3. Just like last year. It's here in week 3 where this man has his arm in a freaking sling. He's not even going to suit up for week 3. I told y'all this offseason, they're talking about the over-under. I said, I just want to see him get through week 3. And he hasn't. He hasn't, just like he didn't last season. I was called a madman. I was called crazy. I was called a whiner. I was called all these things. I was called a casual. I was called a lot of things by freaking Brad bots who just love everything that Brad does. And he can do no freaking wrong, bro. I don't worship Brad Holmes. I don't pray at the altar of Brad Holmes. I'm sorry. And now we're sitting here in this situation yet again. Yet again, bro. Freaking ridiculous, man. Well, anyway, I hope we beat the Ravens on Monday night. That's my hope. You know, I think we would have had a better chance if Marcus Davenport was healthy. If he was healthy, if he was healthy, if he was healthy, if he remains healthy, if he stays healthy. That's all I've heard for the entire offseason from everybody in the freaking building. From Brad Holmes, from Dan Campbell, from Coach Shep. I've heard this every time, every day from all these people. Anytime we say, anytime anybody talked about Marcus Davenport, even myself, if he's healthy. Come on, dog. This is malfeasance. How is this your... Mr. Detroit City says the dude has a weird thing for hurt men and a strange arrogance about it. Facts. Facts. The arrogance part, that's the part. Like, like you just have... What has worked, bro? What reclamation project has worked on the Detroit Lions? Who has he brought in that has been injured previously and that just never got injured again and just balled the hell out? Emmanuel Mosley? No. Marcus Davenport? No. Ennis Rakestraw? No. Ennis Rakestraw was drafted hurt. And he hasn't made it through a training camp unscathed. Who is it? DJ Chark? No. Who did you bring in, Brad? Who did you bring in that had an extensive injury history that worked out? They continue to pay him millions for being in rehab year after year. He has no motivation. Facts. Brad just likes to pay top dollar to watch dudes limp around and stretch for him. Sicko. Melvin knows that if Davenport goes on IR, the fans are going to be on his head. They are going to get as many opinions about this injury as possible. No, they're not. The fans aren't going to be on his head. You know why the fans aren't going to be on his head? Because the fans, many of the fans, and I think that the loudest majority are like, y'all just wait till Ahmed Hassanin comes back, a guy who we drafted in the 6th round that has no NFL experience. Okay. I mean, Lions fans need to be more like Philly fans, bro. Like, we need to not accept everything that happens. The Detroit Lions have won 0 Super Bowls and have the most expensive ticket in the NFL. The Detroit Lions have never been to a Super Bowl and have the most expensive ticket in the NFL. 5 years ago, the Detroit Lions were utter garbage, and now they have the most expensive ticket in the NFL. And with the most expensive ticket in the NFL, y'all can't go get somebody. Okay. Not only was he placed on the team with no plan, he was placed on this team with no history of staying healthy. Facts. Brad should have been named Chad because he sure is acting like one. Yes, you were called a casual. These are all facts. Flying Hawaiian says, JMO, what's your question about JMO? JMO didn't have an injury history. He got injured once, right? He got injured once in the national championship game. Hendon Hooker also got injured once. Hendon Hooker just wasn't a good football player, but he didn't have, it was a freak injury. I mean, someone who has a list. Look at Iffy. Iffy's my cousin. He's Nigerian. You know what I'm saying? Iffy had a history of injuries, couldn't stay healthy, and they finally let him go to Miami because he couldn't stay healthy. There has not been a person that has had a laundry list of injuries that Brad has brought in that has worked. A freak injury in a national championship game, a freak injury, in a college game where, that's one knee injury. That's something different. Everybody's bound to get one injury. It's the NFL. It's college football. It's a contact sport. So everybody's bound to have it happen once at least. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a season-ending thing. It doesn't have to be a knee, but it's going to be something. Jared Goff has had to get surgery on his thumb, on his throwing hand. It happens. Taylor May says, I was told the 6th rounder out of Boise State was already in the Hall of Fame. He's in the training room. That's what he's in. And it's like I'm not taking shots at people, and I don't wish for anybody's downfall or whatever the case may be, man. But Brad Holmes really got up at the podium and was like, I don't know. 6th round. Y'all been on my ass. Is that good enough? Bro, what? It was easy for me to hate Bob Quinn because Bob Quinn did nothing. Bob Quinn actually made the team worse than what it was when he took over. Bob Quinn took a perennial 9-7 team, a team that always had an off chance of making the playoffs, who was always in the hunt, to a team that was 3-13. To a team that was 4-12, to a team that, with a win now mandate, instead of drafting Justin Herbert, drafts Jeffrey Namumbo Ohel Kuda because you have a mandate to win now. Well, how did you think drafting this guy who was trash at his position going to help you win? You draft Justin Herbert, you set the team up on your way out. And I don't know, maybe Martha would have given you, or not Martha, maybe Sheila would have given you, because Sheila came in at the end and cleaned house. She's the one that fired them too. Maybe she would have given you an extra year because you drafted a quarterback of the future, and Matthew Stafford won it out anyway. But they got fired after the Thanksgiving game. But if they had a young quarterback waiting in the wings, She might have said, well, we'll give you an opportunity to move Matthew and do something else, which I'm glad she didn't. Let Brad cook. He's anyway. mailbag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they reading you? Mailbag. See next niggas mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bask in it. Mailbag questions, bro. I tell you. Mm. Let me get that video for y'all. I'm gonna put it in the chat so y'all can watch it. So from the Detroit Times, it says Lions edge Andre Carter II is a practice squad player to keep an eye on, per Detroit podcast. I hope he works out, man. I hope he works out. All right, let me put this in the chat before let me see. All right, mailbag Lions versus Ravens prediction. 31-28 Ravens. I mean, I've got to see. You've got Mark Andrews and then likely maybe playing. So the coverage ability of Jack Campbell it's not to the point where I can be confident. And also they're gonna have to play zone. You're not gonna be able to play man against Lamar Jackson. You don't turn your back against Lamar Jackson. So now, while they're playing zone, the other task is to keep your eye on your zone so that you know if someone ran across your face, you can pass them off. If someone is behind you, you could go back there and defend the pass. So you have to be able to know these things and also be trying to keep Lamar Jackson out of the end zone. And also be trying to keep Lamar Jackson from throwing 5 touchdowns. Right? And also trying to keep Lamar Jackson from being clean at the end of the game. So it's going to be a tough task. It is. Mailbag, if Lawrence Taylor's right arm was in a sling, does Bill Parcells sit him against any club in the National Football League? Probably not. He'd probably just snort some coke before the game and be good to go. Don, what time is the game on where you are? 10 a.m. 10:15 a.m. So I'll go out and work in the morning and then come back and go live. Probably 10. I'll probably go live around 10. I think I have a reservation at 9:30 or something. So I'll try to get here by 10. But yeah, I'll be on. Mailbag, Hacksaw Reynolds broke his leg in the first half of a playoff game and finished the game. Do you think we'll ever see a player of his mentality again? Uh, how bad was it broken? Was it like a hairline fracture or was it like broke? Um, if it was broke, no, I don't think we'll see a player of that mentality again. If it was like a hairline fracture, okay, I think we would. Mailbag, the Ravens have won 92% of their last 26 games versus the NFC. What are the odds that Jared Goff can get the W while throwing 5-yard routes? Inquiring minds want to know. The odds is 8%. He's got 8% odds to win. The issue with the Lions playing zone is that the Lions are not good at playing zone. That's the thing. That's a problem. But they're gonna have to play it. They have to play it. If you turn your back and you go man coverage, Lamar Jackson can just sit back there, wait for everybody to have their backs turned and go get 20 free yards every time. You know? Unless you just have a spy. You have a spy, you can play man coverage. If you don't spy, like AG wouldn't spy, you can't play man coverage against Lamar Jackson. It's just that simple. So if you want to play man coverage, you must have a spy. Right? You have to have someone there to keep him in the pocket. So that's it. Mailbag, Zach Orr is the Ravens DC. John Harbaugh is their HC. Nothing further. Mailbag, do you think that we'll put a spy on Lamar? Didn't DC refuse to put a spy on him last year? It wasn't DC, it was AG. But that's what I was just saying. You've got to put a spy on Lamar. If you want to, it's going to dictate your coverage. I would rather put a spy on Lamar and play man coverage because that's what I'm better at than not put a spy on him and then play zone coverage because I'm not good at zone coverage. So that's the thing. Like, just do what makes sense for you and your team. You know, not what makes sense for a tendency that you like or you don't like. You know, because at the end of the day, you've got to put your team in the best available possible situation to win. If the Lions play a spy, it would have to be Branch, right? So that's what I was saying yesterday. I think not yesterday. I wasn't on yesterday. The day before yesterday. I want it to be Branch, but the only problem is if it's Branch, you have to take off a linebacker like Derek Barnes, and then you put on another safety like Rock Yassin. The only issue that I have with that is I would want it to only be on passing downs, but you can't tell when Lamar's going to take off and when he's not. You know, Lamar can take off on down 1 through 4. Whether it's a design run, whether it's a scramble, he's going to get out of there. I don't want I don't want Derrick Henry meeting Brian Branch or Brian Branch meeting Derrick Henry in the hole 20 times this game. Brian Branch is a heat-seeking missile. Brian Branch will hit you hard, but Brian Branch is like 5'9", 5'10". Derrick Henry is 6'3", 250 pounds. I just don't want that to. I don't want Brian Branch to have to run into that 20 times this game. So, you know, the logical spy would be Derek Barnes because Jack Campbell can't do it. He can't keep up with Lamar. You know, Anzalone, does he have the speed and athleticism for it? I don't know. But it can't be Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell, despite the RAS scores, he doesn't have the athleticism to keep up with Lamar Jackson. Flying Hawaii says mailbag. Who gets your vote as a spy? As I said, Brian Branch gets my vote, but the caveat is that he's gonna have to deal with Derrick Henry the whole game, and I don't want to see that happen. It's like I'm answering all your questions just as I'm talking through it. You think Anzo has the lateral speed to play the spy? Let's say I would be more comfortable with Anzo playing the spy than Jack Campbell. I think I think some of that veteran cunning and veteran, savvy would help him as the spy. Do I think he has the lateral quickness to play spy against Jalen Hurts? Yes. Against Lamar Jackson? I don't think so. Mailbag, if not BB, do you think Barnes can tackle Lamar in the open field? I think he can tackle Lamar. Yes. He's just got to keep his eyes open, not like he did in Dallas with Dak in the end zone. What up, though, Zach J? Oh, BB is 6'1". Okay, I thought he was like 5'9". Well, he's one. How much does he weigh? 220. So he's giving up 2 inches and 30 pounds. 200. Wow. Okay, 50 pounds. he's giving up 2 inches and 50 pounds. That's the problem, right? That's the problem. Yeah, I was guessing 220. I was trying to 250 versus 200. That's a problem. Mm-mm. He said, "Yeah, but you're saying things as I type them. No fair." That's what I'm saying. Just talking through it, it's like it's the natural progression of trying to figure out these problems that we're having. And these are problems that we are having. Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. I have not been. I'm just gonna give you guys an update. I have not been working on the Pick'em app at all this week, because I've been trying to get some other projects finished, and understanding that the Pick'em app is going to be ready at some point during this season. It's not like a rush that I have anymore, because obviously it's not going to be ready by the beginning of the season. So it'll be just something that once I get it done, whether it's in the middle of the season or whatever, is something that you guys can use and experiment with and test and play with, so that it'll be ready to go next season. So my plan for next season is to have a suite of apps for, football fans. The mock draft app, the Pick'em app, and the fantasy football app. I initially, the first app that I ever thought about creating was the beginning of last season, and it was a stat comparable app where you basically could use natural language to ask, like, for example, who had a better season, Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs, and then it would give you their stats. You know what I mean? So stuff like that, like being able to compare players stat for stat, just quickly, easily, who had more yards last week, Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson. So I'll probably throw that in there as well. So it'll be like maybe 4 or 5 apps. If I can think of a fifth one, then I'll throw that in there. I want it to be mainly free. Um, and then once it gets popular enough, just throw some ads on there so that you guys don't have to pay for anything. But sometimes, like if I have to use like these NFL and these sports APIs, those can get expensive. So if I can figure out I know how to get around those. Basically just using RSS feeds. Um, just like with the Pick'em app to update the weeks, like the games for the week. I don't use an API. I just use the NFL schedule site, and every week it crawls that site and it gets the schedule. So it allows you to pick them. But like I said, the problem with that is there is a data corruption situation going on with the leagues. So once I can figure out the root cause of that data corruption, which I thought I had figured out, but it didn't work. But once I can get that done, then I can get that out to you so you guys can use it and you can use it in your leagues. And I'll try to see, once I do that, I'll try to have like some backdated, so like if you want to make if you have a league with your friends and you guys have gotten to like week 5 and you're using paper or spreadsheets or whatever to figure out who picked what or whatever, then you'll just be able to take that data and put it into your weeks 1 through 5, and then you can use the app from there. So that's the plan. What up though, Mr. Morale 313? Zach J said, "What's the latest on Crybaby Marcus?" Oh, you missed it. I crashed out. I crashed out about him already with his arm in a sling, right arm in a sling. Honestly, nobody can spy him. You are correct, JSJ. we, you can only hope to. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. What you're saying is there's no perfect person on our team to play spy. No, if you could combine Derek Barnes and Brian Branch, yes. But other than that, I don't think so. Anybody can spy him. Don't have to solo tackle him. Just slow him down and swarm to the ball. The problem with that is if you dedicate too much attention to him, then you're leaving people open. So, yeah, but the only person that I think is well equipped to spy is Branch. However, I would rather have him at free safety. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, if they didn't have Derrick Henry, if it was like last time we played him and they had Justice Hill or somebody like that, then yeah, fine. Just Brian Branch would definitely be the best option to spy. We still waiting for that second opinion. Brad Davenport on IR. Mailbag, remember the Redskins versus the Lions NFC Championship game? The Skins shut down Barry and dominated the game. Can the Lions do that versus Lamar? Have 2 or more spies on him every play and swarm to the ball? The difference is that Barry was a running back. Lamar is a quarterback. And he can at any time get the ball to the open man. If you have too many people spying, if you have too many people dedicated to a certain area of the field, then that means someone's open somewhere else. And with our pass rush not being all that great, he's going to have time to find that open man. You see what I'm saying? If the pass rush was what we asked for it to be, then we really wouldn't be worrying about a spy, because as Coach Shep said, you got to keep constant pressure on Lamar. However, if you're going to keep constant pressure on him, you also have to get him to the ground, because it's not like you're just going to pressure him and he's going to fold. No, that's not how Lamar plays football. But you could slide Branch down to the nickel and move Rock to the safety. Would have been the best bet. Yes, but again, I don't want Branch that close to, because if you're sliding him down to the nickel and you're moving Rock to safety, then you're still taking off one of the linebackers. And while Brian Branch is going to be in run support from the safety position, I just don't want him down there at the line of scrimmage like that, having to deal with Derrick Henry so much. You know, because I from what I saw with DeAndre Swift, I'm hoping it's an on again, off again. In week 1, the run defense was on. In week 2, it was off. So I'm hoping that in week 3, it's on again. So then we don't have to worry about, But Brian Branch was down there popping DeAndre Swift paws, causing fumbles and all types of stuff. So. I mean, either way, Brian Branch is going to be in the running game. He's going to be heavily involved in run support and all that stuff. So whatever, it is what it is. Let him go out there and go against, Derrick Henry for 50 snaps and may the best man win. All right. Who was favoring his left leg? Yes, Mr. Morale, he did. He had his right arm in a sling today at practice. He was at Allen Park. He was walking around with his right arm in a sling. Favoring his left leg. That's because he went out of the game with 2 injuries. He went out of the game with the ankle first, came back in, and then he had a chest, shoulder, arm injury, whatever the hell it is. We don't know what it is yet. I know this is wishful thinking, but if McNeil were ready to go, I'd be happy playing base defense. Well, according to him, he's 93% ready. So they're not finna they're not about to put him in. Oh, his left arm. Listen, uh, who knows? I saw what you saw. Yeah, it did seem that he got up and he was holding the left arm with the right arm. Yeah, but his right arm was in a sling. I don't make it up. I just report it. Well, maybe as Paul Thomas, maybe the second opinion put his right arm in the sling instead of the left one. I don't know. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's what happened. What am I cooking for the game? As I said, I'm gonna be working up until I look to get back in the house at 10 and change and go live. So, if I'm doing anything, I might boil some eggs for breakfast. That's about it. Because I'm definitely not eating before I leave the house. Man, off that. Maybe Brad should have got the second opinion before resigning him. Facts. Maybe he should have done that. Oh, that's crazy. My man said some jerk oxtails. That's crazy, bro. Tactical, are you Jamaican by any chance? Do you have Jamaican? Are you of Jamaican descent? Or is your wife Jamaican? There was a Jamaican food truck that we were regularly partaking from, but she moved. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was getting my jerk chicken salad, what I'm saying, red beans and rice, all that stuff. He will be on the third opinion by Saturday. Bruh, listen, this thing has pissed me off because it's going exactly the way that we said it would go. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, y'all remember people were doing over unders on how many games he would play and stuff like that. It blows my mind. It blows my mind every time. I think he's cooked exactly. That comment does look wrong. We just like jerk. Went to Jamaica on vacation about 5 years ago. Need to go back. Had jerk chicken and jerk goat. So my father's best friend in Detroit was a Jamaican man named Mr. Sangster. So when I was a kid, I used to go to. He was Larry Sangster. So I used to go to. He used to take us to like Jamaican restaurants, and I was in a Jamaican restaurant having jerk chicken when Chris Webber called that timeout. I remember that. I remember that as a kid. Check the Discord. All right, let me check it. All right, yeah, I have a reservation, so I need to leave so that I can be there on time. Let me check this Discord and then I'll be out. Yeah, that also looks like his left shoulder to me. As I said, I saw the same thing you saw, but his right arm is in a sling. All right, y'all. I gotta go ahead and get out of here. Jerk is a type of seasoning. Pull is a type of method. All right. Once again, guys, I appreciate y'all. I will be back here on Monday for the Monday night game, so make sure you check me out then. Once again, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. We came to give you stats, not static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your lines, news, pragmatic, and I shall be out of here. Peace.